Users, admins, tortoises, Chun is back. And it's time for the boy to take his dog for a walk in the park. I swear one of these days I'll have a turtle following me instead. It's far more appropriate. Anyway, this week I've got another Wi-Fi battle against GhenghisChun from TPX. If you listened to the Chuncast last week, you already knew this was coming. By the way, if you haven't listened to the most recent episode, I encourage you to check it out while you're doing your laundry or eating breakfast or surfing the internet or whatever. Tell me what you think by leaving comments. This is a 4th gen roulette match, which I haven't had in a while. I forgot how fun they could be. And I'm taking it back to 1992 with some Streets of Rage 2 music. Let's get into it. I get my specially defensive Empoleon to lead, who always serves me well, but he gets a Mamoswine, and I've got a Charizard. I'm expecting him to set up Stealth Rock turn 1. So I go to it, but he EQs right off the bat. I'm thinking he's going to Stealth Rock now after seeing Charizard, so I go ahead and break the possible Focus Sash with Flamethrower. And I'm expecting this to just be the standard Endeavor lead with dual stabs. Zard's actually slower since this is one of my early breeds, and it's not running max speed or a plus speed nature either. This could be dangerous. He's faster, so he could Endeavor me to 1 before I take Mamo out. I just decide to fodder Charizard now and try to KO Mamoswine since it's definitely a threat to the guys I've got. It takes out half my team. He surprisingly switches out though, and that got me thinking, does he not have Endeavor or Stone Edge? He reveals Kingdra and pays for it dearly, and Kingdra gets burned. I decide to try to take advantage by going for Air Slash and hoping for some flinches since Claydol can't come into spin yet. Hopefully I can wear Kingdra down pretty quick. Maybe force that out, or hope it's not Chesto Rest Dragon Dance. Takes quite a bit, so he's got an offensive spread, and him showing Rain Dance proves this. I make a really bad play here. I actually stay in to try and finish Kingdra off with a Thunder Punch when Kingdra is clearly faster in the rain. Thank God he missed with Hydro Pump, so the RNG definitely saved me there. I really should have gone to Empoleon instead. I get it off regardless, and he shows Clefable on the free switch. I've shown all my moves except one, and I decide to show it off here to get a feel for what set this Clefable's running. I reveal the Brick Break, and this is a mixed Charizard if you couldn't tell. After seeing that it's a 3-hit KO, the fact that this Clefable has Seismic Toss, and the fact that it has leftovers, I deduce that it's probably a defensive set. Looks like it's most likely specially defensive. So I wanted to continue to scout the set with Charizard since my greatest fear was that this was Trick with Toxic Orb. But I Brick Break again. Sure enough, Clefable carries the Soft Boiled. But here I'm thinking that since I stayed in, he would expect me to Brick Break again. So I try to take advantage of that by going to Claydol now to spin the rocks away. And he's going to get some eggs again, though I preferred mine scrambled, honestly. Look at how the back spread of Claydol makes a smiley face. Doesn't that look like a smiley face to you guys? Anyway, I stick with the plan and I spin the rocks away. But he shows that he has Ice Beam as well. So I'm wondering what his 4th move is. I don't think it's Thunderbolt or Thunder Wave, as he would have went for either of those instead against Charizard and not Seismic Toss, so it's probably another support move. But Ice Beam is going to be a 4-hit KO after leftover, so I felt pretty safe setting up Stealth Rock with Claydol, even if Mamoswine comes in again, which he ends up doing. He probably knew Stealth Rock was coming, so he wanted to get as much mileage out of Mamo as possible before it went down. So once again, I end up with multiple rockers on the same team, but that's how it is with Roulette. Genghis is actually in a really tough spot. I decided to just spin again since I figured he's either going to Stealth Rock or Ice Shard, and Rapid Spin will KO it either way. He goes for Stealth Rock, definitely a blunder on his end since Claydol is naturally slower, and I'd already shown Rapid Spin, so I get the LOL Rapid Spin kill, and he gets no rocks for the rest of the match. Reveals Scizor, which isn't good. Scizzor's another huge threat, and Charizard's my only real switch into this thing, so it's a good thing I spun the rocks away. Went to it immediately. He showed the Bug Bite, so it looks like it's Swords Dance. I go for Flamethrower immediately, but he switches out and reveals a Togekiss. It looks like it's almost a 2-hit KO though, and it doesn't have leftovers, so it's probably another offensive set. He outspeeds, goes for Air Slash, and misses, and I get a second Flamethrower off. Hacks is clearly in my favor so far. I'm being pretty reckless with Charizard, since I still need it for Scizor. Although it honestly won't matter later on, as you'll see. I go to Empoleon, figuring Togekiss might be Scarfed. This was a good move, but there was actually a better one that you'll see right here. I figured Empoleon could tank a few air slashes, but I forgot about the flinch rate, so I go to Lapras, realizing that I have a priority user. This is another early breed of mine. It's a Dragon Dance set, but it carries Ice Shard too. So he stays in the fodder Togekiss out, so that tells you he has no spinners on his team. So he goes back to Scizor on the free switch. Lapras actually is carrying a Chople Berry, so I figured it could take one hit from the fighting coverage Scizor usually carries. In this case, it's Brick Break. It does allow Lapras to survive, and I strike back with Waterfall to continue to wear this Scizor down between the damage and the Life Orb recoil. And this is going to be the moment of truth. Does he have Roost or not? But he reveals Bullet Punch, and I was very relieved here. With Lapras going down, I can bring Charizard in to finish this Scizor off, and that's exactly what I do on the free switch. Zard will take the Bullet Punch and KO back with Flamethrower. Or so I thought. Life Orb boosted Bullet Punch is enough to KO Zard as well, and instead it's a double down situation. So I decided to reveal Crobat here since it's faster than anything that isn't Scarfed, and he reveals his last, a Honchkrow. I'm going to go for Taunt to prevent the Roost, but he outspeeds Crobat and gets off a Brave Bird. Crobat barely survives, thanks to this set being the old DP Stallbreaker variant. So Crobat's got Deceptive Bulk, but at least I know now his Honchkrow Scarfed. I'm thinking he'll want to go for the KO, so I'm going to switch to Empoleon here with the intent of taking the next Brave Bird, but he makes a really nice play here and goes back to Clefable, expecting me to switch to Empoleon, since she can't do anything to Clefable really. I know this as well, so I decide to show that I carry the uncommon Roar as he gets off an S-Toss before getting phased out, forcing Honchkrow to take more Stealth Rock damage and limit the damage it can do to the rest of my team. It's pretty much forced to stay in at this point, so I expect the obvious superpower, so I go back to Claydol. Sure enough, he goes for it. At best, he would take Claydol out with Dark Stab if he predicted correctly, but then I could just bring an Empoleon and do anything to it. A very tough call for Genghis to make there on that turn. But yeah, I'm way ahead of the narration, I just realized. But after this, Honchkrow is obviously going to go down. And he's going to go to his last, which is a Clefable. The Clefable, I should say. But it looks like I've got him on the ropes, but I really don't. It's a 3-1 situation with me having the advantage, but none of my guys can actually hurt this Clefable without back-to-back crits. Also, none of my guys have any recovery either, so it won't take that many S-tosses to finish the rest of my team off. I just stay in with Claydol, and I'm just going to bombard Clefable with attacks until something happens, which I didn't have to wait long. I got a first turn Freeze Axe, and that was the plan, to just start with Ice Beam, fish for the freeze. When I run out of those, spam Earth Power to fish for special defense drops. So now I've switched to Earth Power, and the plan is to just try to get some special defense drops and hopefully wear this thing down. If Claydol dies in the process, I'm just going to send in the next Pokemon and continue the assault. Classic offensive synergy, I guess. I'm just letting the Earth Powers fly after this. This is boring to watch, but it was nerve-wracking for me. Because basically, he could unthaw at any point and just soft-boiled all the damage I do away. And Earth Power is looking like it's about a 10-hit KO after leftovers, if he stays frozen. So, thankfully though, he actually is going to end up staying frozen. I'll just come out and say it. So I don't even have to get my other pokes involved at this point. Claydol is actually going to be able to close the game out without me having to bring Empoleon in, or my last unrevealed poke, which was a Hypno, but the Hypno was more of a custom set. It didn't have any way of hurting this Clefable either. It wasn't. It's a physical attacker, but it can't hurt this Clefable. Not really. But yeah, this was a pretty fun match, I guess. From a tier perspective, you could say he had the quote-unquote better team since he had more OU guys than I did, but Hax was heavily in my favor this game. So I guess that evens things out, but I don't know. Roulette's a fickle thing sometimes, and it can really test your skill, but I have a lot of fun with it since I can be more loose. But maybe we'll get to do this again someday, Genghis. Anyway, if you liked the vid, you guys know what to do, and until next time, I'm out. Peace.